Today I want to talk about something I feel a little strong about. DSLRs. Yeah, the big chunky cameras that your uncle or grandfather probably had. In a world filled with smartphones, mirrorless rigs, and pretty much AI enhanced everything, I still believe DSLRs are the best cameras you can own, especially if you actually want to learn photography. And no, this isn't just some nostalgia rant. This is about those cameras that can really teach you and how they feel in your hands and why sometimes less tech is better when it comes to taking better photos. So let's get into it. This is Static and welcome back to Static Archives. Today we're discussing DSLR cameras. So why DSLR? Well, here's the deal. Mirrorless cameras are smaller, faster, and packed with more features. Your iPhone can take a pretty incredible photo in 0.2 seconds, and AI, that'll fix your exposure, smooth your skin, and basically shoot the photo for you. But you know what none of that does? It teaches you nothing. With a DSLR, you're forced to slow down. You actually have to think about your shutter speed, your aperture, and your ISO. You feel the settings, you see the difference, and it makes you learn. And that's something no amount of computational photography can replicate. So let me ask you something. When's the last time you actually adjusted your camera settings manually, like full camera mode, and shot a photo that felt like you made it and not your camera? Was it recent? Was it ever? Drop it in the comments, let me know, because I would love to know how many of you shoot with intent versus just tapping a screen, hoping for the best, and letting your features pretty much carry you to a beautiful photo. But anyways, back on topic. Let's talk about size. So yes, DSLRs are pretty big. They're bigger, they're heavier, but is that really a bad thing? That heft, it gives you stability, it gives you control, and when you pick up a DSLR, your hands know that you're holding a camera and not just fumbling around with a touchscreen. You're gripping a tool, and there's a reason why professionals still love holding a 5D or a Nikon DA50, because it's solid and it feels like a piece of gear and not just a gadget. Also, the shutter sound. That chunk when the mirror flips up and the shutter clicks, that's true satisfaction. It's physical feedback that tells you, yeah, that shot is real. And smartphones just don't have that. And mirrorless cameras, it takes some getting used to, I'll say that. So here's something that I feel like also that is pretty slept on, which is the optical viewfinder. So DSLRs let you look directly through the lens, not a screen, not a simulation, not a digital preview, but actually light bouncing off of a mirror in a true view of the world. That creates a completely different shooting experience. You're more present, you're more focused, and there's no lag, battery drain, and distractions. You're not checking histograms or exposure meters, you're looking at the scene with your real eyes. It's honest, and in my opinion, it's the most immersive, and it's something that even the fanciest mirrorless cameras just cannot replicate. And being someone that's always had this feature and used it would just be something that I feel like I wouldn't want to continue to shoot without. So now, the one thing everyone always says what makes mirrorless so much better, the features. So let's talk about the features, or really the lack of them. DSLRs don't come with night mode, AI sharpening, face reshaping, skin smoothing, or automated black background blur. You want bokeh? Okay, pick the right lens and aperture. You want a clean shot in low light? Well, choose a good ISO and nail your exposure. There's really no cheat button or any assistance, and that's exactly why they're so good for beginners and serious learners. Because when you're forced to learn the fundamentals, they stick with you. You stop relying on presets. You start seeing that light differently. And you understand why a photo works or why it doesn't, and not just that it looks nice. DSLRs are also essentially tanks. They're rugged, they're repairable, and they're not designed to be replaced every 12 months. You drop a DSLR, it might survive. You drop your iPhone, that's a trip to the Genius Bar. Most DSLRs from 10 to 15 years ago still work perfectly today. Try saying that about a phone from 2010, or even the lenses. You buy a good lens or a piece of glass for your DSLR, it'll probably outlive your next 3 camera bodies, and no weird adapters or firmware updates needed. That long-term reliability makes DSLRs really an investment and not just a toy or the latest gadget. So what can you gain from a process like this? Well, when you shoot with a DSLR, you're not just pressing buttons, you're making decisions. You're choosing what to include and what to exclude. You're thinking about composition, you're thinking about lighting, you're thinking about timing. You get to fail on purpose, which is where the true growth really lies. It's okay if you'll mess up in exposure, maybe you focus on the wrong thing, or you'll forget to change your white balance, but each mistake teaches you something you'll never learn from auto mode. So, I'm not saying DSLRs are perfect. They're big, they're not really as trendy, and yeah, they're not as technically updated as some mirrorless cameras or smartphones are. But photography, again, isn't about having the most features. It's about intention, it's about vision, learning your craft. And with DSLRs, I feel they give you the most space to grow without doing the thinking for you. So if you see one sitting on a shelf collecting dust, pick it up again. If you're just getting into photography, don't skip over DSLRs because they're quote unquote old tech or not the newest. Sometimes the best camera isn't the newest, it's the one that lets you do the work. Anyways, I appreciate you for watching. If you made it this far, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let them know down in the comment section down below, and I will read and reply to all your comments. But anyways, of course, subscribe, that helps me out a ton, and leave a like on this video, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.